Listen, I've been working at the Galactic Council's Diplomatic Relations Center for 73 cycles now, and I've seen some weird stuff. I've watched the Kravati accidentally declare war by sneezing during a peace treaty signing. I've witnessed the Yulnari ambassador eat his own proposal, because he thought it was a ceremonial snack. But nothing, and I mean absolutely nothing, prepared me for the day humanity decided to show up. My name is Vorn, by the way. Just Vorn. My species doesn't do last names because, frankly, we think they are pretentious. I'm a middle-level bureaucrat with exactly 3 tentacles, a mild drinking problem, and a desk that's buried under approximately 4,000 unread diplomatic briefings. Important context for what's about to happen. So there I was, sipping my morning stimulant beverage, which tastes like battery acid mixed with regret, when the emergency klaxon started wailing. Not the someone forgot to file paperwork klaxon. Not even the minor spatial anomaly detected klaxon. No, this was the we're all going to die horribly and someone better start praying to whatever deity they believe in klaxon. The main viewing screen in our operations center flickered to life, showing an incoming vessel. Standard procedure, right? Wrong. Dead wrong. Because the ship's identification beacon was broadcasting a code that made every single being in the room freeze like they'd been dipped in liquid nitrogen. That's, whispered Kelric, our senior intelligence officer. He's this tall, bird-like species called the Threnix, and I'd never seen his feathers go that particular shade of oh no we're screwed grey before. That's a Titan-class signature. Now, let me explain something about the Titans. The Titans of Bronthar-5 are, without exaggeration, the most terrifying species in known space. They average 12 feet tall. 12 feet. They are built like someone took a mountain, gave it muscles, and then taught it how to fight. Their homeworld has gravity 3 times what most species consider survivable. They've got bones made of something that makes titanium look like wet paper. And their idea of a friendly handshake has hospitalized entire diplomatic teams. The Galactic Council doesn't fear much, but we fear the Titans. We fear them so much that we gave them an entire sector of space and politely asked them to never, ever leave it. They agreed, mostly because they found the rest of us too squishy to bother with. So when that Titan signature appeared on our sensors, approaching our station at a speed that was frankly insulting to our defensive capabilities, panic wasn't just appropriate. It was mandatory. Battle stations, screamed Commander Zylok, our station's military chief. Get the shields up. Charge all weapons. Someone contact the council and tell them we're about to be invaded by Titans. Everyone started running around like their sensory organs were on fire. I just sat there, staring at my screen, because the ship's manifest data was coming through, and something was very, very wrong. Wait, I said, but nobody heard me over the chaos. Wait, hold on. Something's not right here. The ship was broadcasting a Titan-class energy signature, sure. But the actual vessel. It was tiny. Like, absurdly tiny. Maybe 1/10 the size of an actual Titan warship. And the crew manifest was showing. I squinted at my screen, adjusted my optical sensors, and read it again. This doesn't make sense, I muttered. Kelric swooped down next to my desk, his talons clicking nervously. What doesn't make sense? The fact that we're about to be crushed by 12-foot monsters who could probably punch through our hull with their bare hands. The ship's manifest says it's from Earth, I said slowly. It's not from Bronthar-5. It's from a completely different planet. Earth? Kelric tilted his head in that way birds do when they are confused. Never heard of it. Must be a Titan colony world. Probably where they send their most violent warriors. The manifest also says there's only 1 crew member aboard. That made Kelric pause. One Titan. Why would they send just 1? Maybe it's some kind of champion, suggested Mirax, our xenoanthropology specialist, who'd wandered over to see what we were staring at. She's a gelatinous species that communicates by changing colors, and right now she was pulsing a nervous purple. Perhaps they're here to challenge our strongest warrior to single combat for control of the station. We don't have a strongest warrior, I pointed out. Our head of security is a coward, and our most dangerous fighter is technically the cafeteria chef, and only because his cooking is a biohazard. The ship was getting closer. Our defense grid was fully powered now, though everyone knew it wouldn't do much against a Titan. Those monsters could probably survive direct hits from our plasma cannons and then complain about the light show. Incoming communication request, announced our communications officer, a nervous blob named Plork who was currently vibrating with fear. They are hailing us. Put it through, Commander Zylok ordered, his voice admirably steady considering he was probably calculating his chances of survival. Which were, I estimated, approximately 0.001%, the screen flickered. We all held our breath. Or whatever passes for breath in our various species. I personally stopped all 3 of my respiratory cycles, and then we saw it, not a 12-foot Titan. Not a mountain of muscle and rage. Not a warrior bred for conquest and domination. It was small. Maybe 3 feet tall. With a round face, large eyes, and what appeared to be, was that food smeared on its face. It was wearing some kind of brightly colored outfit, with a cartoon character on it. A cartoon of what looked like a small predator animal with impossibly large eyes. "Hi," the creature said cheerfully, waving a tiny hand at the camera. "I'm Emma. I'm 4 years old. Is this the space station? It looks really cool. Do you have snacks?" "My daddy said you have snacks." The entire operations center went silent. Dead silent. The kind of silent you get when reality has just slapped everyone across their sensory organs and nobody knows how to process what they're experiencing. "What," Commander Zylock said slowly, "in the name of all that is sacred and logical, is that?" I checked my screen again, double-checking the data, triple-checking it, and then checking it a 4th time, because my brain was refusing to accept what my optical sensors were clearly showing me. According to the ship's manifest, that's the human. From Earth. Age 4 cycles. Name, Emma Martinez. That's a child. Mirax shrieked, her gelatinous form turning a bright orange that usually indicated extreme distress. That's an infant. They sent us an infant. With a Titan-class energy signature. Kelric added, his feathers now standing completely on end. How is that possible? Why does a child have the same power signature as a species of 12-foot murder machines? Emma, blissfully unaware that she'd just caused a station-wide panic, pressed her face closer to the camera. "Hello. Can you hear me? My daddy showed me how to use the communication button. He said I should be polite and introduce myself. Do you want to be friends?" "Someone explain this," Commander Zylock demanded. "Now. Immediately. Before I have a complete psychological breakdown." I was frantically pulling up every database entry I could find on Earth and humans. The data was sparse, really sparse, because Earth was in a remote sector that nobody had bothered surveying in depth. But what I was reading was making my 3 hearts beat at very concerning speeds. "Oh no," I whispered. "Oh no, 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 no." "What?" Kelric demanded. "What's oh no?" "Earth is a death world," I said, my voice getting higher with each word. Gravity .97 standard. Aggressive fauna. Extreme weather patterns. High oxygen content. And the humans. I scrolled further down the report, feeling my organs clenching with each new piece of information. The humans evolved as persistence hunters. They have ridiculous endurance. They can regulate their body temperature through liquid excretion. They have binocular vision for tracking prey. And their bone density, what about their bone density? Commander Zylock asked, though I could tell he already knew he wasn't going to like the answer. It's almost identical to the Titans of Bronthar-5. The silence was back, heavier than before. "You're telling me," Kelric said carefully, "that this tiny, cheerful child creature, who's asking about snacks, is as physically dense as a Titan." "Apparently humans are shorter than Titans, but they evolved under similar gravitational conditions," I explained, still reading through the database with growing horror. "Their homeworld is almost as hostile as Bronthar-5. They're just smaller. But proportionally. They're just as durable. Just as strong for their size. Just as dangerous," Mirax finished, her color now cycling between orange and a sickly yellow. "You're saying they're just as dangerous?" "Hello." Emma's voice came through the speakers again, sounding slightly impatient in the way only small children can. "Are you there? My spaceship is getting close to your station. Can I come visit?" Daddy said I had to ask permission first, because it's rude to just show up without asking. Commander Zylock was making a sound I'd never heard before. Sort of like a wheezing whistle mixed with the noise of existential dread. His faceplates had gone from their usual confident blue to a pale, sickly green that meant his survival instincts were screaming at him to flee. We need to. He trailed off, apparently unable to finish that thought. "We need to let her dock," I said, surprised by how calm my voice sounded. "Probably shock." "Yes, definitely shock. We can't exactly refuse a diplomatic visitor. That's literally against council law. Plus, if we say no to a human child, who knows what her father will do? What if he shows up next? What if all of them show up?" Mirax had turned completely white, which in her species meant pure, undiluted terror. "What if this is a test? What if Earth is evaluating us to see if we're worthy of diplomatic relations, and they sent their most innocent representative to see how we'd react? Or," Kelric added helpfully, his voice climbing into registers I didn't know Threnix could reach, "what if this is their idea of psychological warfare? Send something small and cute to make us lower our defenses, and then BAM. Invasion force. She's 4. I protested. 4 years old. She's asking about snacks, not conducting military reconnaissance. Hello. Emma's voice interrupted our spiral into panic. I'm going to dock my ship now, okay. Daddy programmed the computer to do it automatically. I just have to press this button. The big green one. This one, right? There was a beeping sound. Yay. The computer says docking procedure initiated. That means I get to visit. Nobody panic, Commander Zylok announced in a voice that clearly indicated he himself was panicking quite a lot. We're trained professionals. We can handle one small human child. How dangerous could she possibly be? I pulled up another database entry and immediately regretted it. According to this report, human children have approximately 60% of adult human strength. They also have minimal impulse control, no real sense of their own physical capabilities, and something called the terrible twos, which apparently extends into the 3s and 4s and possibly the entire juvenile period. What does terrible twos mean? Mirax asked in a small, frightened voice. I don't know, and I don't want to find out, I admitted. The docking clamps engaged with a heavy thunk that made everyone in the operations center jump. Emma's tiny ship was now attached to our station. There was no going back. Somewhere in the corridor outside, I could hear various species running away from the docking bay. Apparently word had spread that a Deathworld species was coming aboard. Should we send a greeting party? Kelric asked. Absolutely not, Commander Zylok said firmly. We'll observe from here. Use the security cameras. Maintain a safe distance. I volunteer Vorn to go meet her, Mirax suggested immediately. What? Why me? I demanded. Because you're the one who found out she was from Earth. That makes you the expert. I am not an expert. I read 2 database entries. That doesn't qualify me for first contact with a potential planet-destroying species. 3 tentacles, Kelric pointed out. You've got 3 tentacles. If she grabs one, you've got 2 backups. I couldn't argue with that logic, mainly because there was no logic to argue with. But before I could protest further, the airlock door opened with a hiss, and Emma came bouncing, literally bouncing, into the corridor. The security camera caught everything in perfect detail. She was wearing small boots that lit up with each step, and she had a backpack that was almost as big as she was. Her hair was tied up in 2 sections on either side of her head with bright purple bands. She looked around the corridor with wide eyes full of wonder and excitement. Wow, she shouted, her voice echoing through our speakers. This is so cool. Everything is so shiny. And look at all the buttons. Are there aliens here? Real aliens. Daddy said there would be aliens. She started running down the corridor toward the operations center. Running. At a speed that seemed impossible for legs that short. The camera tracking her had to adjust multiple times, because she was moving so fast. How is she running that fast? Kelric whispered. Deathworld species, I reminded him grimly. High endurance. Probably doesn't even realize she's exerting herself. Emma reached a junction in the corridor and paused, looking at the directional signs we'd posted in multiple languages. Operations Center, she read aloud, sounding out the words carefully. That way. She pointed with her entire arm and took off running again. She's reading our signs, Mirax observed. She's 4 years old and she's reading our signs. How advanced is this species? Very, I said, still scrolling through database entries. According to this, humans reach basic literacy between ages 3 and 6. They achieve full cognitive development by age 25. And their learning capacity is... I stopped, staring at the screen. Oh, that's just unfair. What? Commander Zylok demanded. They have something called neuroplasticity. Their brains physically restructure themselves to learn new information. They can adapt to almost any environment, any language, any situation. They are literally designed to survive and thrive anywhere. Emma had reached the doors to the operations center. She stood on her tiptoes, trying to reach the door control panel. When she couldn't quite make it, she looked around, spotted a small maintenance step stool, and dragged it over with casual ease. The step stool was made of reinforced metal and weighed approximately 40 pounds. Did she just? Kelric's voice failed him. She just moved a 40-pound object like it was nothing, I confirmed. Remember, bone density comparable to Titans. Muscle strength proportional to body mass. She probably doesn't even realize that's heavy. Emma climbed onto the step stool and pressed the door control. The door slid open with a cheerful chime. She stepped into the operations center, looked around at all of us frozen in various states of terror, and smiled the brightest smile I'd ever seen. Hi, she said again, waving enthusiastically. I'm Emma. What are your names? You all look so different. That's so cool. Are you really aliens? Can I touch your tentacles? No, wait, Daddy said I should ask first before touching. May I please touch your tentacles? She was looking directly at me. Those large human eyes, designed for tracking prey across vast distances, were locked onto me with an intensity that made my survival instinct scream. I started, then stopped. What was the protocol here? There was no protocol. We'd never planned for this scenario. Yes? Emma squealed with delight, a sound so high-pitched that several species in the room grabbed their auditory organs in pain. She ran over to me, her light-up shoes flashing with each step, and very gently reached out to touch one of my tentacles. It's so smooth, she said, her voice full of wonder. And it's moving. Can you control it? Can you pick things up? Oh wow, you have 3. That's so much better than 2 arms. I only have 2 arms. See? She held up both her arms. Just 2. But you have 3. That's not fair. I was frozen. Completely frozen. This tiny creature, this 4-year-old representative of a Deathworld species, was petting my tentacle like it was some kind of domestic animal. And I couldn't move because her grip, even though she was being gentle, was strong enough that I could feel the incredible density of her bones through her skin. Your station is really pretty, Emma continued, apparently not noticing that every being in the room was paralyzed with fear. Daddy said I should tell you that Earth wants to be friends with the Galactic Council. He said we should join and share our technology, and our culture and our snacks. Do you like snacks? I brought some. She swung her backpack off her shoulders and set it down with a thump that cracked the floor tile. Everyone stared at the cracked tile. Then at the backpack. Then at Emma. What? Commander Xylok's voice came out as barely a whisper. What do you have in that backpack? Snacks. Emma said happily, unzipping it. And some books. And my stuffed dinosaur. His name is Mr. Chomps. And some juice boxes. And my tablet in case I get bored. And some rocks I found. They are really pretty rocks. Want to see? She started pulling items out of the backpack. A container of something called cookies. A bottle of liquid. A stuffed toy that looked like some kind of extinct Earth predator. A small electronic device. And then, rocks. Actual rocks. Multiple rocks. Heavy rocks. How much does that backpack weigh? Mirax asked faintly. I quickly calculated based on the items Emma was pulling out. Approximately 60 pounds. She carried 60 pounds, Kelrick said slowly, through a spaceship corridor, up a step stool, and into this room. While running. And smiling. Deathworld species, I repeated weakly. It was becoming my mantra. Emma had arranged her snacks on the floor in front of her, and was now opening the container of cookies. Would you like one? She offered, holding out the container to Commander Xylok. They're chocolate chip. My mommy made them. She's the best cook ever. Commander Xylok, to his credit, managed to lean down and take a cookie with only minimal trembling. Thank you, he said formally. This is very kind. You're welcome. Emma beamed at him. Then she looked around at all of us. Why does everyone look so scared? Did I do something wrong? Daddy said I should be on my best behavior. Am I being good? There was a long silence. How exactly were we supposed to explain that we'd been terrified, because we thought she was going to accidentally destroy our station through sheer physical presence alone? You're being very good, I managed to say. We were just surprised. We've never met humans before. Really? Emma's eyes got even wider. Never. But there are so many of us. We have billions of people on Earth. And we have so many cool things. We have dogs and cats and pizza and roller coasters and video games and books and music and art and science and... She paused for breath. And lots of other stuff too. Daddy says humans are really good at making friends. Are we friends now? She looked at each of us in turn, her expression so hopeful and innocent that I felt something in my thoracic cavity twist. This wasn't a weapon. This wasn't a test. This was just a child. A human child from a Deathworld, yes, but still just a child who wanted to make friends and share her cookies. Yes, I said, and was surprised to find I meant it. Yes, Emma. We're friends. Her smile could have powered our entire station for a week. Yay. I have alien friends. Wait until I tell Daddy. He's going to be so excited. He said this was a very important mission, and I had to represent Earth really well. Did I do good? You did very well, Commander Xylok said, and there was something in his voice I'd never heard before. Warmth, maybe. Or possibly relief that we weren't all going to die. You represented Earth excellently. Can I come back and visit? Emma asked hopefully. And can I bring my daddy next time? He really wants to meet you. He's a scientist. He studies space and aliens and stuff. He talks about it all the time. I looked at Commander Zylok. He looked at Mirax. She looked at Kelric. Kelric looked at me. Somewhere in that exchange, we all came to the same conclusion: humans were terrifying. They were from a Deathworld, they had Titan-level bone density, they could carry ridiculous weights without effort, and they could probably survive in environments that would kill most species. But they were also curious, friendly, and apparently raised their children to offer cookies to strangers. If this was what humanity was like, maybe having them as friends was better than having them as enemies. Much, much better. Yes, Commander Zylok said officially. Earth is welcome to send representatives to the Galactic Council. We would be honored to establish diplomatic relations. Emma jumped up and down, her light-up shoes flashing frantically. This is the best day ever, she shouted. Then she paused. Can I see the rest of the station? Daddy said I should learn as much as I can. And can someone show me where the bathroom is? I really have to pee. And that's how Emma Martinez, age 4, from planet Earth, became humanity's first successful diplomatic contact with the Galactic Council. Also, how we learned that humans, no matter how terrifying their physical capabilities, are ultimately just people. People who need bathrooms and like cookies and want to make friends. Though I still check my desk every morning for cracks in the floor tiles. Just in case.